It's time for Money Talks, brought to you by NuMark Credit Union. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about the Illinois Credit Union League. We'll be doing that with the president and CEO of NuMark Credit Union, Lloyd Fredendall, and Tom Kane, president and CEO of the Illinois Credit Union. I want to remind you that at the end of the program, we're going to be giving you a chance to win a $25 Visa gift card, compliments of NuMark Credit Union. All you need to do is listen closely to the program, and sometime here in the next couple of moments, we're going to be giving you some information that'll be so valuable. I know you're going to say, how valuable is it? It's so valuable that we're going to be asking you to call back in, give us that information, and then we will give you a chance to win a $25 gift card courtesy of NuMark Credit Union. We also want to remind you, from now until June 30th, NuMark can help you get things done with their interest-only home equity line of credit. Enjoy a low intro rate, use your savings to make home improvements, consolidate debt, pay for college, and more. They have options for you, so call them at 815-729-3211 or visit NuMarkCU.org to learn more. That's NuMarkCU.org, equal housing opportunity. Lloyd Fredendall joins us here this morning on the Turk Furniture studio line, the president and CEO of NuMark Credit Union. Lloyd, good morning.
Good morning, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on. Hey, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your role at NuMark Credit Union, being the president and CEO.
Well, we've recently completed a merger with North Star Credit Union, which is where I spent the bulk of my career as president and CEO of that organization. My previous experience, I've been coming up on my 30th anniversary here, and prior to that, I was an examiner, both credit union and savings and loan examiner prior to that.
All right, so this is what you've done pretty much your whole professional career.
Yeah, sad to say, true. Yes.
Well, it's good. It's ended up well for you, my friend.
I'm very happy. It's a great career, great way to spend your life.
All right. Well, Tom Kane is the president and CEO of the Illinois Credit Union. Hi, Tom. Tell us about yourself.
Hi. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Lloyd.
Morning,
thanks
Tom.
for having me here. And so just to tell you real quick about the Illinois Credit Union League, it's a dues-supported trade association. So we have 230 credit unions in Illinois. And so our primary function is to represent those credit unions with advocacy, compliance, and education. Really, it's political work that's being done both in Springfield and in Washington, D.C. There's so many laws, regulations, rules. Last year we saw a lot of executive orders come from the governor. Mm-hmm. So credit unions, we help credit unions try to make sense of all of those. And actually we do lobbying work then in Springfield to hopefully try to pass laws and regulations and things like that are actually helpful for credit unions. So the other thing we do is we do a lot of education events. So like a lot of trade associations, we do education and training kinds of things, which, as you can imagine, last year with COVID hitting, all of a sudden we go virtual with everything. So we had our annual convention, other conferences, and even visitors with the legislators. We just kind of switched to Zoom to do all that stuff. And the other thing that I do is I run a business subsidiary. We provide payments cards to more than 2,300 credit unions across the country. So these are credit cards, debit cards, and prepaid cards. If you were to walk into one of the NuMark branches and buy a reloadable prepaid card, or if you're going to be the lucky listener today and win the $25 Visa gift card, we're actually the company that provides that cards to NuMark and to other credit unions across the country.
Gotcha. All right. Well, good. So 230 credit unions in Illinois. Where does that rank us nationwide? Is that about average per state?
We're actually number 4, number 5, something like that. It's funny. I've been with the Credit Union League now for 18 years. And when we started, we had over 500 credit unions in the state. And actually, there were, at one time, the high water mark in the 70s was 1,600.
Wow.
But consolidation, Lloyd just mentioned that he was just part of a recent merger. That happens about 10 times a year here in Illinois. Depends on the economy, but that's a trend that's happened both with banks and credit unions. There's about 5,000 banks and about 5,000 credit unions. And at one time, there were about 16,000 of each.
Wow.
So it's just... it's scale. It's just kind of what happens. Bigger businesses need to get bigger to stay in business, I guess.
Yeah, Lloyd and Tom, I grew up in central Illinois down in East Peoria, and my first realization of the difference between a credit union and a bank, if you will, was I think it was called CEFCU, Caterpillar Employee Credit Union. That was a big one. And, all my friends, my parents didn't, but all my friends' parents were cat workers. And, they'd always go to the union and cash their check. And I was like, what are you guys doing? And, that was my first experience. So I got in on it at a young age.
Yeah, it was a smart move. It's a great alternative to the banking world.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Tom, let's go ahead and jump into, to here 2021. How is the credit union industry doing right now?
I would say pretty good. A year ago, the outlook was pretty uncertain. And I think most people would have thought that we'd be in the middle of a recession right now, if not a depression. But unless you were unfortunate and lost your job or had a small business had to close because of the pandemic, I really think most people are doing pretty well financially. And so credit unions being really consumer focused, I think they're doing pretty well as well. There's been a lot of government stimulus money come in and things are really opening up and kind of taking off. And there's also been fewer things for people to spend money on over the last year. No travel, very limited restaurants. Those kinds of things. So one of the things that credit unions have just seen their deposits explode. It'll tell you that their savings rate has gone way up with, people putting money in their checking accounts, savings accounts, CDs, and that kind of thing. And another trend that really happened then at the same time is that cash, people just aren't using it as much. They're using electronic payments way more often. A lot more online shopping, and people just don't want to use cash as much. Yeah. So there's been a big increase in debit card use, but at the same time, people have been paying off their credit card debt. So we've seen a decrease, and I think that's going to come back a bit with, as people are traveling and they're going to restaurants, things that they typically use a credit card more for. But I'd say credit unions were enjoying a boom last year in real estate and auto sales, which is sort of tapered off because there just aren't many. As you drive around, you don't see any houses for sale, and with the chip shortage that they've had in the supply line, there just aren't as many cars to buy as well. So I think all of those things will kind of straighten themselves out in the coming months. And the bottom line is I think things have turned out way better than I think anybody would have predicted at the beginning of summer in 2020.
Lloyd, what about NuMark Credit Union specifically? How are things going right now?
Very well. I would agree with everything that Tom just said. The deposit growth has been just absolutely out of control. It's just big dollars coming in. It's a little more difficult to get the loans out, as Tom mentioned as well. But for us, I spoke to the merger. It brings us to 9 branches throughout the South, Southwest, and kind of western areas of Chicago. And with member service locations in Aurora, the Bridgeport neighborhood in Chicago, Countryside, Crest Hill, Joliet, New Lenox, Plainfield, Tinley Park, and Warrenville. And what we've really started to see is that there's become quite good cross usage by the members of both credit unions previously to each other's branches, which was one of the really intended benefits of the merger, because we saw our branch networks to be very complementary geographically speaking. And I think one of the things I really want to get across here, we feel really good about this considering that the world is just starting to open up. In the first 4 months of 2021, we've welcomed over 1,300 net new members. So that's new accounts, less people that may have closed their accounts for whatever reason in the first 4 months. And I think that's pretty incredible considering the fact that half the world was closed for the first couple months of the year.
Yeah.
And then I guess I just close with, we have a great staff, and each and every one of them are committed to providing our members with products and financial services that will benefit them for a lifetime, as opposed to looking for one-offs and one-shots. We're in for the long haul, and I think our financial numbers kind of bear that out.
Yeah, I believe so. We're talking today with Lloyd Fredendall. He's the president of NuMark Credit Union and the CEO, and Tom Kane, president and CEO of the Illinois Credit Union League. Tom, you mentioned it earlier, the role of the Illinois Credit Union and the League Service Corporation. How do you specifically jump in and help out credit unions? Is it on a need basis? Are you there with them every single day? How does it work?
I would say both. I mean, we have a hotline that we have for all of our credit unions, certainly on the compliance side. So we have a help desk there where people call in and they'll have specific questions. sometimes literally there'll be a member standing there asking a question of somebody, and they're like, okay, it's kind of a complicated thing having to do with, my brother-in-law passed away, and, we don't know what to do with these old checks or something like that. And so they'll call us and ask us a specific question. But a lot of the work that we end up doing is we actually have staff that are down in Springfield. So a lot of the work is with advocacy and to work with the state legislators on new bills to provide, powers for credit unions so that they can continue to serve their members. And the big thing for us is the credit union industry as a whole is relatively small. Just 4 largest U.S. banks individually are larger than the entire credit unions movement, or all the credit unions in the country put together. We always have to make sure that when laws are being passed, that the legislators actually think of credit unions. They oftentimes don't. So we're there to remind them every day that that we're there. We have a very, very strong grassroots movement, so that we always make sure that we can get some members behind and the credit unions behind whatever it is we're trying to do. On the Legal Service Corporation, our tagline on the business is helping credit unions compete. So really it's about trying to provide products and services that they can provide, that credit unions can provide to their members at a low cost. Since the credit union industry is relatively small, we have a lot of small credit unions. And so for many of them, they wouldn't be able to offer a debit card or credit card without our assistance. So we kind of aggregate their business together to help get better pricing. So we act like a warehouse club for credit unions.
There you go.
In that matter. So in some ways, we're really helping credit unions stay in existence because they can offer programs that otherwise, they may be too small to be able to offer.
What about your sales pitch right now for people listening? Times are tough right now. Why should someone maybe make a move from a traditional bank to a credit union for his or her banking?
I think, the first thing is, I always point out, is safety and soundness. It's important to remember that accounts in credit unions, just like banks, they're insured for at least $250,000. So if anybody's concerned about, is my money in a credit union safe, that's not a concern at all. And I think the big thing is the credit unions are local, community-based, member-owned. So Lloyd just went through the branches that they have. I mean, he's not all of the people that join a credit union own that credit union. So all the branches where he is located, those are community focused. He doesn't have shareholders in California or pension funds or anything like that. It's every single person that joins that credit union becomes a member of that credit union and then has a say in how that credit union is run. So Lloyd has actually thousands of bosses. And so it's a not-for-profit financial cooperative. When you become a member, so you have a say in how that's run. And you enjoy then the benefits of being part of an organization that takes their profits and puts it back into their products with lower costs or additional products. And then the last thing is, credit union may be local, so Lloyd just named off his branches, but their reach is really national. So most credit unions like NuMark belong to a network where you can go have 5,500 surcharge-free ATMs across the country. So, and most credit unions, too, they put money during the pandemic, really put money into their mobile products. They offer all the same things as the largest banks in the country. So really, but the key ends up being that, NuMark, like all credit unions, are very, very focused on their local communities and not what's happening, across the country.
Right. Lloyd, it has been a challenging time for almost everyone financially right now. What have you done to help your members through this pandemic?
Yeah, I want to back up one really quick on the back end of what Tom said. And I think the biggest issue that pairs with the ownership is that I have a volunteer board of directors. So my charge is far more about serving people the way they should be served, treated, than it is about turning a big profit for the stockholders. And that is probably the single biggest reason why people would want to join, because we look at people as individuals, human beings, and not entirely based on numbers. But what we've done over this last nightmare year that we've all lived through, we've helped many members that are negatively impacted by the pandemic. We've restructured debt. We've put skip-a-pay programs in place, emergency loans with highly competitive rates, facilitated a number of payroll protection program loans through the SBA for our member businesses. And, to kind of tighten up on some of those numbers, well in excess of $5 million in skip-a-pays, hardship loans, and emergency loans throughout the pandemic, mostly early on, realistically, really March of 20 through July, August, till people start to get their feet on the ground. And we do it not to make the money on it, but we do it because we knew the people needed help, and that's what our role is. That's what we're here for as a credit union.
All right. Tom, is there any legislation being pushed right now on behalf of credit unions? I know, of course, the governor's got the big, budget sitting on his desk, reform bills, other things like that. Anything happen here during this last legislative push on behalf of you folks?
Yeah, actually, it's the timing is great because the legislature just adjourned, I think, 4 o'clock this morning.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure how they did it. I think they stopped the clock because they were supposed to be done at the end of May 31st. So the legislative door just shut, but we actually had a really good session. We did a number of bills. There's actually almost 6,000 bills get introduced at the beginning of a session. Believe it or not, I mean, that many things. I think every state legislator wants to have their name behind a bill, a couple bills. And so we winnow those down to the ones that we're really interested in and that we follow and that we support. And we always have a credit union bill every year that, like, for example, one of the things that we pushed for last year, we couldn't have meetings in person. So the governor and the state issued emergency orders to allow for remote meetings. Well, we ended up deciding to put that into a bill to make that permanent so that Zoom meetings are going to be acceptable going forward for credit unions. So there's just a lot of little things like that we end up, but we always just make sure that we're there, that credit union issues are known to legislators. Again, we just don't want it forgotten because oftentimes when people think of financial legislation, they'll immediately think of banks, and oftentimes credit unions are fighting it to make sure that we get included in
right.
the legislation as well.
That's why they have you down there, right?
Exactly.
Yes, sir. That's exactly why we have them.
All right.
Sometimes we feel like the little yapper dogs.
That's all right, man. They're heard. Trust me, I got a yapper dog that lives next door to me, and that's all I hear. I don't hear the big one. I hear the little guy. Just remember that. Remember that.
Yeah.
All right. So I know you guys have done a lot. Credit unions for kids, credit union day of giving back. Lloyd, what about NuMark? You do a lot in the community with the Northern Illinois Food Bank and other things as well. Anything in the works here for the rest of 2021?
We do. I mean, our core belief is that we're part of the communities that we serve, and we really try to give back in any way possible. We will be participating, and I think this is the 3rd year for CU Kane Day. That's coming up on October 11th. That's where credit unions from all across the state volunteer and donate money and try to raise funds. We've been very active with the Northern Illinois Food Bank. We sponsor food trucks. Our staff volunteers, and we, of course, collect donations at all of our branches. We work with Wreaths Across America and veterans. We collect donations for Memorial Day, Independence Day, and attend the wreath-laying ceremonies. And then we're really active in all of our communities, chambers of commerce, and the park districts, because that's a great way to meet with people through the park districts and the like. So we believe very strongly in community. We think community is the foundation of the whole world, and credit unions really are a big part of it's sort of the epitome of community.
Great stuff. And I know, Tom, you have an event coming up called I Love My Credit Union Day.
Yes. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about that. So it's happening on July 30th, and so it's basically a social media blitz. So on that one day, we're asking credit union employees, volunteers, members, vendors, families, and friends to jump in on a social media platform with a post, tweet, like, or whatever it is you end up doing on social media, and use the hashtag I Love My Credit Union. We're trying to make that hashtag the highest trending topic around the world. We've actually got there's a world foundation that we work with as well that has that has credit union members from the entire world. So we're hoping that they'll participate in this. So we're inviting all listeners to join in, and on that one day, post something, post a picture, post just a video or something about why they love their credit union. And we're trying to break the internet.
Absolutely. There you go. And Lloyd, I know you guys are participating as well.
We are. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Looking forward to that. Yes.
All right, gentlemen. I wish we had more time, but we are out. We had Lloyd Fredendall, the president and CEO of NuMark Credit Union. Tom Kane, president and CEO of the Illinois Credit Union League. Thanks, guys. We appreciate that, and maybe we'll talk again real soon. Keep up the great work.
Absolutely. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Tom. I appreciate it.
Yep,
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Guys.
All
Have a
right,
good
so
day.
now it's time, my favorite time of the day. I'm going to give away a $25 Visa gift card, compliments of NuMark Credit Union, and our friends with the Illinois Credit Union System. Okay, here's the question. Earlier, I think it was Lloyd or Tom, one of the two, told us how many credit unions there were in the state of Illinois. What is the number? You have to be within 10. I'll give you a 10 high or 10 low. 815-254-7300. That's the phone number. How many credit unions are there in the state of Illinois? Hi, good morning. You're on WJOL. Who's this?
Dan,
Hi, Dan. What's right number here, pal?
230.
230. You didn't need the little cushion, did you?
Not at all.
Not at all. All right, Dan. Well, hang on the line. I'll give you some information off the air. You've just won yourself $25 courtesy of NuMark Credit Union. How about that?
Very good. Thank you.
All right, brother. Stand by. Hang on. And coming up next, Davis Jaspers from Vital Life of New Lenox wants you to live a Vital Life.